Um, and so we have 7 panelists here today. Some amazing people that have some amazing stories that are going to talk to you a little bit about how they got to where they are, challenges they might have faced, and any other questions that you all may have. So if you look to your right of your screen, you should have a Q&A box. If you put a question in there, the panelists will see it and they will answer. They will answer as soon as they can. I mean, everybody's going to be in a conversation, so just give them a couple of seconds to answer. And that's really it for housekeeping. I don't think I have any other rules. So with that, I would love to get started. So I'm just going to start with who I see on my right, and first on my screen, and just move down my list. So first, we're going to start with Sasha. So how you doing today, Sasha? Can you do us a favor, introduce yourself, tell us your full name, what you do for your career, and what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Sasha Varenga. I currently work for Metro as a vehicle operation. When I wanted to do when I grew up, I become a tennis player, a famous tennis player. That was my goal. I wanted to become that, and didn't work out, obviously. And I became a teacher. um, uh, I found Metro when I was riding the Red Line station, the Red Line rail station, and since then I've been with Metro. So I've been blessed with jobs. 17 years I've been working for Metro.
Wow. All right. Okay, thank you for sharing. We're going to keep moving down the line, but before we do, just also wanted to remind all the participants that if you go to our Instagram, you'll be able to see each presenter's full bio. We're not going to be going through their full bios because that information is already there, and everybody should have also got an email with the things that they do on a daily basis. So make sure you go check those things out if you want some more information. All right, Mr. Simbala, Frank, uh, what is it that you do, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Frank Simbala. I'm the owner of All Star Paint and Body, which is an automotive restoration shop here in Los Angeles. I've been operating it since 2011. I stumbled into this business. I didn't know anything about restoring vehicles. Matter of fact, growing up, I wanted to be a librarian. I loved reading books, and but now I paint cars. So that's kind of the path that I've chosen. It's been very rewarding, and I still read books.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Andrew.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. My name's Andrew Thomas. I'm a basketball agent at Creative Artists Agency. Specifically, I handle marketing and endorsement contracts for all of our NBA players. So what that means is we basically have 2 types of agents who represent our NBA talent. One of them will handle the team contract. So when you hear of like Joel Embiid or D'Angelo Russell signing a new contract with their team, they'll handle that part. I specifically handle all their off-court opportunities. So it could be the shoe deal, it could be Gatorade, Nike, Adidas, appearances, things of that nature. So branding, marketing, all those sorts of opportunities for all of our NBA players. And I kind of fell into that as well. I was an assistant to one of the heads of our department, an agent named Aaron Mintz, and then was an assistant for about 2 years at CAA, and then kind of came up finding a niche for myself on the sales side and being able to bring in these types of opportunities and contracts for our players.
Awesome. And what did you want to be when you grew up? Did you always want to be a basketball agent?
I wanted to be a basketball player. At a certain point, you kind of realize that it's not very realistic. So this is, for me, the next best thing to help guide these young players in their careers and all their off-court opportunities.
Awesome. All right, Anna.
Hi everyone, I'm Anna Mofaraj. I am originally from Brazil. When I was little, I wanted to be the best popcorn maker, and that it ended up that I am not. So today I work for Microsoft as a product marketing manager. So with marketing for specifically artificial intelligence, AI. And yeah, super excited to have you here and super happy also to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, who's next? We have Alex.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Alex Prince, and I grew up in Santa Clarita, California, just a little north of LA, but still live here, born and raised, love it. I work now as a tour manager for international touring acts, any sort of genre, any size artist. And when I was growing up, I wanted to be an astronaut. I thought I was going to be the first person to kick a soccer ball on the moon. Hasn't
All
happened
right.
yet.
There's still a chance.
Maybe I'll throw the first concert in space.
All right. Okay, who's up next? We have Allie Brown.
Hi guys, I'm Allie. Thank you so much for having all of us, and I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. I too grew up in Los Angeles, and I currently am the Chief Marketing Officer for Paige, which is a clothing company that makes men's and women's clothing that's sold around the world. And when I was younger, I wanted to be on MTV News back when MTV actually played music.
I remember that. And the news was like this like little 5-minute segment that they did between videos. Yeah.
I wanted to be the next Kurt Loder for anyone.
I don't think any of the students here know who Kurt Loder is at all. All right, who's next? Dr. Diana.
Hi everybody. I'm Diana. I am an Angelino, born and raised. I went to John Marshall High School in Silver Lake. Any Marshall alumni or students? Okay, maybe not. Anyways, hi. I wanted to be an astronaut when I grew up, just like Alex. And what ended up happening was I found out that I was really good at chemistry in high school. So I went to CISLA and got my degree in biochemistry. And then I went on to UCLA and did a PhD in biochemistry as well. And my research used to look at cancer biology. I studied triple negative breast cancer. And then a few years ago, maybe like 8 years ago, I decided that I wanted to work with people, and I wanted to make sure that there was equity in science, and that people that came from backgrounds like mine, first generation Guatemalan and first generation college student could find their way into science and succeed in it and have a place in science. So now I work at UCLA and I focus on equity and inclusion as it pertains to students getting PhDs in STEM.
Awesome.
So, thank you.
All right. So, a couple of you have already actually touched on this. My next question was going to be, and I'd like to start with Anna, because I think being a popcorn maker to working in AI might be, a very huge difference. When did you realize that that's what you wanted to do?
I think this is a super tough question, Red. What do I want to be when I grow up? And when I was in high school applying for colleges, I didn't even, and since I did my college and bachelor in Brazil, you have to choose before you're doing the test, what do you want to be? So if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a business or whatever. And at that time, when I was 17, 18, I had no idea. So my approach to that was per exclusion. So what do I don't want to be? So, and that helped me a lot. And I think it's a great strategy for you to look to. So what are the things that I don't want to be for sure? Like that I don't want to be when I grow up. And this is how I ended up choosing to do college around business. And then when I started business, I found out that marketing was something that I was really looking forward, and I started working with marketing. So I decided to do some internships with marketing to really see if this is something that would fit and that I would have like the skills needed for it. And then after my internships, I started to work with bigger companies. And then I moved to LA, to Los Angeles. I did a master's in USC. And then I ended up working for Microsoft with artificial intelligence in marketing. So that's how my trajectory worked. So I think that yeah, per exclusion, I think it might be an easier way for you to start thinking about, oh, where do I see myself?
No, I definitely like that idea about a lot of times you try to focus on like, what is it that I love versus like, and that could be a lot of things, and that could definitely distract you. Allie, I also wanted to ask you, because I don't know if a lot of people know, like in terms of marketing, like, in that whole area, could you go on a little bit more about how you first got exposed to marketing as a career path?
So I did the same thing that she did. My first internship, I thought, okay, I'm probably too young to work at MTV. What else is similar? And I did an internship at an entertainment company and learned very quickly that I did not like it at all. And so it made me feel really good that I tried something I didn't like and I could essentially, like she's saying, cross it off the list. I realized pretty quickly that I loved PR and I loved working with people. And so I decided to go to USC and study PR and journalism. And their particular program teaches you go through the entire journalism school and then you flip it and you learn PR so that you understand what it is you're pitching and what the needs are of a journalist. And it just kind of opened my eyes to marketing in general, and that was really one part of it. And while I was in college, I did an internship at Interscope Records, still trying to figure out if there was something in music that I could do. And I worked between the video commissioner and the publicity department back when they were turning out a lot more music videos than now. And I loved the part where got to work on production, got to be part of PR and getting the message out and making sure that the artist's work saw the light of day. And it just went from there. And I worked for a PR firm after that did clothing and hospitality. And one of the clients was Page, which is the company I'm at now. And I started as a PR associate 10 years ago there, and I'm still there. And now I oversee social media, branding, celebrity partnerships, everything for our e-commerce website, paid media. And yeah, there's about 15 of us doing it now, and I get to work with CAA and all of those branding people all the time. So yeah, it definitely is helpful to find out what you don't want as much as what you do. It honestly was more helpful than anything.
Awesome. Now we had a question in the chat, and this is interesting, and I'm going to throw this out there to anybody that can answer. How much of a determining factor was your family and what you decided to pursue? In terms of family, it could be family income. Family income was the question, but I'm thinking family income, maybe other careers that your family had done and everything like that. Like, how much of a determining factor was your family in the careers that you decided to choose? So anybody?
I can jump in, or I'll raise my hand too. I was just going to say.
We'll go with you, and then we'll go to Diana right after.
Perfect. I'm originally from the Midwest. I'm from Minnesota. I went to school in Chicago. And my first job right out of school was actually pharmaceutical sales. So it was a very safe, very comfortable job, if you will. And then, I kind of realized not too long into the job that it wasn't what I was passionate about. So I just cut the cord and moved to LA with no real job prospects and no real plan. But my parents were always very supportive, but they thought that was kind of crazy for doing that and taking that risk of moving out here, not knowing anyone. So it was a good move for me because I got to land in something, and I may have gotten a little bit lucky, but I landed in something that I was very passionate and very excited about. But to answer your question, I kind of went against what my parents said exactly and just had to find out what was right for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. Diana?
Yeah, so I come from a really poor family, kind of dysfunctional. My mom was in a gang when I was a kid, and my dad was an immigrant, and I realized that I needed to pursue something that would provide me a stable income. And so when I was in high school, at first, I didn't know that I would be good at science, even though it was an aspiration as a kid. And I thought I would go into theater or whatever everybody else does here in Hollywood. And when I found out I was good at chemistry, I was really excited because I knew that would provide a really stable path forward in terms of income and being able to help my family. Yeah, so I would say my family did inform my decision in that I just wanted a path forward that was stable financially.
Okay. Anybody else have? Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so growing up, I was lucky and comfortable. Growing up with a single father, my mom was not really in our life too much, and especially going towards high school. At the end of high school, I guess around my junior year, I started working at an Italian restaurant. And from there, I had a job all the way through college. And once I started college, I had three jobs to get me through. One was just kind of a stable one that I was able to commit a couple hours to every day, get that paycheck. Secondary one would be kind of dabbling in any other industry that I was looking to pursue. And then a third one would be a more long-term, more school-provided unpaid internship. So I was more or less took the jobs in order to help provide the income for myself that the family wasn't able to. But that really kind of pushed me to pursue outside endeavors and really open myself up to other industries. And as discussed already, finding out those jobs that you don't want is almost more important than finding the one that you do. So in trying to provide money and kind of have that stable income, it was also able to push me forwards to a career.
Awesome. Um, so I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. Sasha, I know you haven't said something in a little bit. I want to talk about. So you mentioned that you were a teacher that transferred to Metro. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of having influences or mentors in transitioning careers?
Um, let's see. Little influence, I I just did.
Okay.
I learned. You know, my parents really were there for me as much. Parents, don't get me wrong, it's just that they work like 16 hours a day, and so from there I just had to by myself. I would ask questions to people, I would ask questions to teachers and or just people in general, and that's how I went through from that. When I paid off, I I just hustled and I just sent my resumes to all these corporations and all these places, and got me faster, got me in, and with my degree, I just moved up a little bit faster, and that's where I'm at right now. And I did it. It's very big corporation. I from basically became a bus operator. Could have been a supervisor right then and there, but I chose to become a bus operator to get that experience, to put my foot in the foot in and see how it is being a bus. And I did it for 3 years. I worked graveyard, and it was a transition was it wasn't for me because I saw what it was there in the field, how it is out there at nighttime working graveyard. And when I transitioned to become a supervisor, now I have the experience and now I know how it is to be. And it was just self-taught from this point. So that's basically what it was for me in my experience.
Now, I like that you mentioned that. Frank, you had mentioned earlier that you also did not plan to run a body shop. Like this is not your planned industry. How did you find yourself here?
It was out of need. Uh, Growing up, I fit all the criteria, the statistic. Coming from inner city, single parent, the background was, gang infested, everything, the whole criteria was steering me to the wrong direction. Um, and it was just really out of need. So I got an opportunity to work for a shop. They were able to teach me the works of how to manage and operate a business. Unfortunately, that shop uh, closed down, and I had already acquired and learned this new trade. And so I took in the painter, took in the workers. I sold everything that I owned, and with my savings and my severance, and I put all that money together, sold my car, and that was my startup money. I soon discovered that when you're operating a business, credit is very important because you need a line of credit. You can pull out loans. In order for your business to grow, marketing is important, staffing is important, insurance is important, getting a permit is important. All that is very, it's on the top of the list. So credit. So very early, you have to learn how to take care of it. Watch that number. Helps along the way, and especially during this time with COVID-19, we're fortunate enough to have our doors open as we cater to our clients because it's the other side of the coin. When it's busy, when it's we have insurance jobs. Now that people are at home, now they have the opportunity to fix their car, or unfortunately, they can't afford their lease payment, so they have to return the vehicle and they got to clean it up. So it's very recession proof, almost resilient. So it's something where it just I already endured one in the past, and we just kind of perfected it. We try to get better, always growing, always learning. And by being a business owner, you have to learn everything. You have to have your hands on everything. I designed my own web page, learn how to market to the point where I'm even painting the car. And that's something that I didn't have planned out. I just thought that starting a business was you boss people around and you handle it. It's not like that. You have to be a leader. You have to communicate. And on top of that, it's a customer service field. So you have to learn how to communicate, cater to the clientele, and it's just a lot of skills that grow with that. It's something that you have to kind of stumble forward, no matter what obstacle. You just keep grinding away, you just keep going. And that's where the need really comes from. It has to come from within. It's just not handed to you. And I didn't have that much support from family, as I mentioned. It's very dysfunctional. It wasn't. I didn't really have the right guidance or or the role model to kind of steer me in that direction. No one teaches you how to start your own business. And so I've been fortunate to surround myself with the right people, the right group that gives you those insights. And I was privileged enough to learn from that, and I'm still learning.
Definitely. So I'm going to ask a question that I want everybody to answer quickly before we move into our next topic. Were you a straight A student in high school? Let's start with you, Frank.
Was I a straight A student? No, not at all. I was, to be honest, again, very defiant. Blame the system, blame my upbringing. As I mentioned, I lived in a gang-infested neighborhood, single mother who I could kind of, sell her a pipe dream, and hanging around with the wrong people. That experience needed to occur, that needed to happen in order for me to see what direction I needed to go. So fortunately, through other people's failure, it gave me the insight of not to go in that direction. So no, not a straight A student, but it's never too late to correct your mistakes.
Okay, Sasha, were you a straight A student? Sasha, were you a straight A student? Okay, we'll come back. Alex?
I was not a straight A student.
Okay.
I did a great job of paying attention in class, but then once we went home, my mind was on anything other than homework. And so that hurt my grades more than anything. But they
want to know what you did.
I think that going forward, I was able to take more out of the lessons than homework would ever give. And so I found much more purpose in the class lessons than the homework, and I guess that affected the grades, but found so much more in school than just the grade itself. And kind of looks like that's a common theme around our panelists, overcoming those and not letting the grade define you.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. Diana?
I didn't even know I wanted to go to college for the first 6 weeks. So I was definitely headed down the wrong path. I was ditching school and, partaking in things that maybe I shouldn't have my first couple of years of high school, being defiant. And then my end of my sophomore year, I had a life-altering event that really woke me up. It was pretty traumatic, and I realized that if I didn't get my stuff together, I'd end up like my parents. I hate to say it. And so I immediately just made a 360 or is it a 180? Anyways, I started to get straight A's after that, and I left Marshall with a 3.3 GPA. which was just enough to get me into CISLA, a four-year school. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And who's next? Allie.
I was not a straight A student. I did fairly well in terms of writing. I loved history, but I was someone that, you know, was maybe in an advanced history class, but was struggling terribly with math. It was always something I never did well in it. But I had a hard time with test taking, and I went to a high school that was so incredibly hard on people in terms of grades and where you were going to end up going to school. And I actually, I would say I was like a B minus student. I was working hard, but kind of like Alex said, like I did great in class, but focusing on homework was really hard. And I had someone tell me in regards to my dream of going to USC that it would never happen. And, you know, similar story, I made it my mission and I studied so hard. And even at that, I wasn't an A student, but I was one part determined to go where I had dreamt forever of going, and one part determined to prove that person wrong. So I'm glad I used it to push me forward, not to get angry with it. But no, I was definitely not an A student. And then let's see, a few people were asking about going to USC and how I was able
Yes.
to pay for it. I'm so incredibly lucky. My dad went to USC and my mom did not graduate high school. And because of that, I think they very early on, both while they were together and after they weren't, they were determined for my brother and I to go. And I know they saved for a long time for that to be possible. And I felt really good about the fact that I did work the whole time in college to do what I could to contribute. It was probably very small compared to what they did to make it possible. But yeah, I think because my mom was so frustrated by the fact that she didn't and that she couldn't, it was really a very big thing for her that we do it. So yeah, very lucky.
Gotcha. Thank you. Let's see. We have Anna and then Andrew. Were you straight A were you straight A students?
I was. I think I differ a little bit from the other the other participants. I was a straight A student, especially on the topics that I loved the most, like biology, chemistry, things that I don't work with it anymore. But I was a straight A student. I was super geeky. Um, I think it shifted a little bit once I started growing up, like on college, it was different. I only was a straight A student on the topics that I really enjoyed, but I always loved studying, and so that was something that I was always like that. I think the most important thing, not being a straight A student, but I was always super disciplined, and this is something that I carry over for my whole life. So I can give an example. I remember when I moved to LA, and it was super hard for me to get a job because I am an immigrant and it was hard to get a visa and so forth and so on. And I put it on my mirror, and I do this up until now, like 3 goals for the quarter on a post-it, like 3 goals. And I do that since I was little. So I was very disciplined in achieving this, what I envision and what I really want. And I think this makes things tangible and helps you also to set up your dreams and your vision and your ambition. Regarding USC, I think I reflect a little bit on Ali. I was super fortunate to have parents who have supported me on that. So my mom also didn't have the opportunity to study abroad and didn't have the opportunity to live abroad. So the thing that she wanted the most, and she was super supportive on helping me and supporting me to get to USC. So and then I did an agreement. Once you support me financially on that, I will be able to pay you back, and this is what's happening right now. So I was lucky on that sense too.
Awesome. Okay, we got some great questions. So I'm going to let Andrew answer, were you a straight A student? And then I want to get to one of these questions asked in the chat.
On average, I would say I was like a B plus sort of student. You know, I had definitely the topics and the subjects that I was strong in and that I really got into. But then on average, like there were those topics and those subjects in school that I wasn't that into. So on average, I would say B plus.
Awesome. So one of the questions that actually came up, and I'm going to go to Alex on this one just to kind of start anew. What did you find more important when pursuing your career? Was it your education or your experience?
I'm in an interesting boat on that because I did not know what I wanted to do once I graduated high school. And I actually didn't find even the industry that I'm working in now until I was a junior in college. So it was the opportunity of going to school that let me see such a bigger world outside of where I grew up. And then I was lucky that my university, I studied communications, but I was lucky that my school even offered a music industry program. So it was during my junior year that I started taking those new classes. I had already done internships with marketing, with real estate, with financial advisors, didn't like any of those. And so once I found out about the music industry and I knew that I would like it, I really hopped in as hard as I could. And so it was being in school that really allowed me the opportunity to find the industry. But I'm also one of the few people in the live touring world who have a college degree. So it's not something that's required. Many of my uh, other crew people, folks who I travel with, the ones who do the audio, lighting, sound, uh, that's more trade than it is college. So it's not really frowned upon if you have a college degree, but it's also not necessary to be where we are.
All right. Somebody else want to? You can
I can.
go ahead, Allie.
I feel like my education is what prepared me to know that the topic was something I was definitely interested in. But I think one of the things that was really great about SC was so many of the professors weren't teachers by profession. They also had something they were doing in their day-to-day lives that helped inform it. So I remember one of the professors was um, one of the heads of communications for Verizon during 9/11 and was able to speak very, very clearly about her experience with that. And it was something that you could never put any of those things in a textbook, but we were getting to benefit from it. And it was incredible. But I think relying on friends does a ton. And I think in terms of education, like I'm not someone that can look back and think, okay, that botany class really, served me well over the years. But all the writing courses, all the things that even, in a kind of a periphery sense, helped inform marketing. And I would say more than anything, group projects are something that I feel like anyone that's in school, you might have angst over group projects. And I think looking back, that's probably one of the most valuable things is learning how to work with different people and communicate with different people and just stay open to learning more. So I feel like it's really both, but the experience once you're in the career is really what helps propel you forward. I don't think the education portion stays as relevant.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for that. Another question came up in the chat that I definitely want to. Dr. Diane, I'm going to go to you on this one. Because you're a doctor, and I know some people that have pursued that, and I know how tough that can be and how arduous. How do you deal with failures and fears to get to be to where you are and everything? So I'll start with you, and we'll move around, but definitely want to start with you on that one.
That's such an important question, Q. I think oftentimes we are afraid of failures and fear not succeeding. And honestly, it's only through failure that we actually learn like which way is the right way. And in fact, in science, a lot when I used to do experiments, most of the time your experiments don't work. It's like 1% of the time that they actually work, and you like find a cure for something, or so much energy goes into what we know about science. And oftentimes students are really afraid when an experiment doesn't work or when they failed at something, they think it's the end of the world. And I think we have to normalize failure. It's part of the process. If you're not trying, if you're not failing, you're not trying. And if you're not trying, you're not going to learn something new or grow in some other direction. And so failure is really common. It's normal. That means you're trying, that you're putting your energy in. And I encourage everybody not to be afraid of it, to embrace it. That means that you're doing something. Can't
To
hear you,
hear
Q.
how, I'm up. There we go. I'm going to go to Frank, and then I'm going to go to Anna, because I want to hear how a business owner deals with failure and success. And then when you're marketing for a specific thing like AI, especially with all the news and, people's feelings about that, how do you navigate that? So, Frank, we'll start with you.
Uh, the first thing is overcoming objections, and just moving forward. I mean, if you fail, you try again. Um, just keep at it. You're going to learn from it. Um, and also, sharing that, networking, having someone that's been in that industry or that can mentor you. It's good to have a support group when you're starting a new endeavor. That way, you're not doing it by yourself. But in a sense, you are, because you're designing everything the way you want it to run. From the moment you open to the moment you close, you're the one that you know you envision it, and and it has to come to fruition. Um, and there's many times where I've been pressured to close, and the fear of the unknown of what will happen, or how will I uh, get past this month or overcome this challenge. And you just gotta, there's another day. You just gotta plan for it, and just keep going. Life finds a way. It sounds cliche, but your determination, your grit, life itself kind of sets the path for you. And there you know that it's if it's right for you or not. And then it's okay if it doesn't work out. It just gives you an opportunity for you to reset, think things through, and learn from it. And it's okay to start something else. So far in this business, as I mentioned, there was plenty of opportunities for me to close. Fortunately, that hasn't occurred. And all I keep on thinking is, what's the next obstacle? What's the next challenge? And again, doing your research and just having a good support group to help you get by.
Thanks. Anna?
Yes, that's a great question too. So I think it reflects also on your personal life, right? So for me, for instance, I have always been passionate about doing radical sports like kite surfing, mountain biking, and so forth and so on. So I have always been a risk taker, let's put it this way. And I have never been afraid of like being failing, right? Because it's part of the game. It's part of life. And I think the more that you fail, the more you'll learn, and the more you learn about yourself. And it's the same. So I resonate a lot with Frank that it's like each day it's a new opportunity for you to succeed or to fail. And failing, it's fine. You have to accept yourself. And it's and once you fail, like I think the hard thing is like, don't fail twice, right? Like on the same issue, because then you didn't learn, or you didn't learn enough. So this is the point. And when I think about using artificial intelligence and creating marketing for AI nowadays, it's hard because a lot of people have fear about AI. And for instance, we are trying to get into TikTok, and it's a channel that we have never done nothing before, and it's something completely new. And we have to create AI content for TikTok, and it's going to be like a challenge. It's going to be something new, and there are high chances that we're going to fail. But once we fail with that content, I'm going to learn that this doesn't resonate with the audience. And then I'm going to create a new strategy that might resonate with the audience. And we have to take it this way. I think it's about the mindset and making sure that you communicate this mindset that you have about failure to the people that you're going to be working with. And that's it. I think it's part of the game. It's part of life. Embrace it and accept yourself.
Thank you so much. So now, one of the big things that kept coming up in a lot of people's questions was obviously this big COVID-19 situation, pandemic that we've all been struggling through. So I want to start with Andrew and then go on to Sasha. If you could just tell me, I feel like your industries have been impacted greatly by this whole thing, sports, and obviously public transportation. So I would love to hear about, what have you found the most difficult about working during this time, and maybe an outlook for, how you see everything clearing up?
Sure, sure. So, I mean, I'll never forget where I was, because that was kind of the first time I realized that this COVID-19 thing was going to be a big, big problem, that bigger than any of us had realized. It was an NBA game. It was a nationally televised game where the Utah Jazz were about to be playing the OKC Thunder. And I was tuning in to watch a couple of our clients get ready to tip off. And then the next thing you know, a doctor runs out on the court, one of the medical staff from the Utah Jazz, and he says, wait, this is all wrong. Like, we cannot start this game. And that was kind of the first domino that fell for a lot of people. I remember immediately after that, a tweet came out. The NBA season has been put on hold, which is unheard of. Like, no, this has never happened before. Then immediately after that, baseball's put on hold, football's put on hold, concerts, live events are nothing's going to be happening. And we've just never seen anything like it. Like, it's completely unprecedented. It's completely crazy. But that being said, I think that there's a lot of opportunities to be like, things change. Like, I work on the marketing side, I work on the endorsement side. And, while like the Nikes and the Adidases have pulled back on their marketing dollars, there's other companies like Xboxes, PlayStation, Twitch, gaming, at home workout equipment like Peloton and things like that are taking off right now. So it's all about adapting. It's all about kind of, being able to go with the flow and change your whole mindset and change your whole dynamic when something like this comes up. And I think, it's not just sports and it's not just music and live events. It's everyone, right? It's travel. It's literally everything. But what this whole situation has shown me, and what's been really, really cool about this whole situation, and it's going to sound kind of corny, is seeing people come together and look out for each other and, do things that they wouldn't have necessarily done before. So for me, a lot of my NBA clients have been getting involved with charities, Feeding America, doing all these different things, raising money for the less fortunate. And that's been like the most proud moment for me working in this sort of industry, is being able to see those guys, realize that they're in a lucky position in life, and to want to go out and help and do more and do extra, and realize, basketball is just a small thing in day-to-day life. Like, there's a lot of people out there who are hurting right now. So that's been like a really proud moment for me, is working with a lot of guys who are going the extra mile and wanting to, like, kind of, they're realizing that we're all in this together. And it sounds tacky, but it's so true. So
Definitely, thanks. And Sasha, on the transportation side, in terms of like working with the city, I know that you coordinate a lot of the big events, in terms of like the CISLA V and like if the Dodgers are playing and all those things. Like, how has everything been affecting your industry?
It's been affecting a lot of operators are scared. They don't want to be exposed to this. We deal with a lot of uh, people out of the public eye, and what we're trying to, our metro is basically perception. So we have to deal with the public and down and trying to make it eh, easy for them so they can go out there, and a lot of them are even for me, the vehicle operation super very scary because I'm exposed out there in the world, out there in the field. I have to okay, don't worry about it. What you gotta do, if there's an onboard disturbance or something, just call us and we'll deal with them. You don't have to deal with these people. I'll go ahead and deal with them. But it's scary for me because once 1 p.m. I end my shift, and I have 3 kids with autism, and so I have to go out there, and I go home and have to. It's really scary. But what we try to do is just Metro keeps it pushing. We try to make it easier for the public, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give more service for the public right now. And that's basically what we're doing, and we'll just keep it pushing, and that's what we're doing as of now. But it's really it's this pandemic kicked in. Like, you know, we have to find um ways of cleaning the buses faster, cleaner, and make operators aware that um, this is a real world. This is with just to do it day by day. Follow the rules. We have 88 people out there. If there we have future patrons, just do as what we usually do. Pick them up, service them, and that's it.
Awesome. I see now. I know somebody had asked in the questions that they submitted what's like for a frontline worker. So I do appreciate you sharing your insight on that, because there are a lot of people out there right now that can't work from home, that have to be out there. And so it's really nice to hear that perspective. So it looks like we're coming up on the end of our time. So I do want to make sure that I get to as many of these questions as possible. One of the questions here that I really liked, that I think would be a nice little go around, is everybody talks about practice, doing the job. Practice makes perfect. You have to be okay with failing, right? But what is one skill that you use in your line of work that maybe you thought that you had to develop? I feel like a lot of you all talked about, how natural you are at some things and how naturally some of these things might have come to you in terms of what you chose. But was there anything that you do in your career that didn't come naturally that you can talk about a little bit? And, quickly, because we're running out of time and I want to see if we get to one more question. So, Diana?
Emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
I think it's a really important skill. It's important for building relationships and maintaining relationships, and how you respond to crises and adversity, and knowing how to talk during those times to people is really important. And it's not really a skill I picked up as a kid or as a high schooler. My parents didn't really teach me that, so I had to learn it on my own in college. And I feel like it's a skill I use every day, keeping a cool and level head. Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
I feel like we always talk on our team about we have to be ducks. On top, we're all calm and collected, and underneath, we're all going like this and moving and jamming. I feel like it's so true, and I never thought I would be leading a team of this many people, but we joke it's group therapy as much as it's a job, and I feel like we all have to learn and listen to each other, and I feel like one of the questions was what besides a lot of practice helps you be good at a job, and I feel like listening, because some people, they need to. I've had situations where I'm going to motivate someone if I listen and hear them out, and then send them on their way. And other people want tough love, and you got to push them a little harder, and you have to get to know someone, and you have to listen, and it also just helps you learn more. Like you can't stop that part of it.
Listening. I hope all the students heard that. Listening. It's very important. I don't want to sound like a teacher, but listening. Okay.
Me to say that.
Who's next?
I can say that one thing that I've learned is how to manage emotion, keeping it cool, working under stress, listening, letting what other people think about you or think about your business or your service affect you, not allowing that to be a measuring stick of your success. So keeping your composure, level-headed, is a skill that has helped me along the way while I make mistakes, while I discover new endeavors, and again, just trying to keep your composure, getting a lot of rest, reflecting, and really analyzing, coming up with a plan. A lot of times they tell you to have a 5-year plan. It's okay to have a 5-minute plan or even a 5-month. The thing is to check them off. I try to wake up every morning and accomplish 3 tasks every day, and that gets me going. And that has helped me, and it's something that it rolls over at the household and amongst other things in my life. So that has helped me. Hopefully it helps you guys.
Something that's helped me out a lot was trying to look at the job as a bigger picture. So I was supposed to be in Detroit last weekend with an artist named ASAP Ferg. I was supposed to spend most of the summer with Tyler, the Creator, in Europe doing festivals. All of that stopped within 3 days. I lost 8 months of work pretty quickly. But looking at the bigger picture, there are ways that when concerts come back, we can improve, we can make them safer. And something that I've been focusing on looking at the bigger picture is even though I'm not working, I'm not traveling, I'm trying to find a way that we can give back to the communities where all of our venues exist. So not some big multi-million dollar show to provide money or relief, but more looking at the venues across the country, the small ones in random cities, Kansas, even outside of Los Angeles, and figuring out how all the shows and all of the tours that come through can kind of give back more to those individual communities, how we can bring everybody together. Those communities give so much to the venue, and all of the people there support our music, support the artists. There's a way to give back. So looking at the bigger picture of everything, and that's so much more than just the music industry. Seeing how CAA and Andrew are looking at people beyond sports, trying to figure out the big picture. Once you're there, you're really allowed to kind of project yourself further.
Andrew?
I'll jump in with one thought. The question was like what we've learned or what we had to learn along the way in order to succeed in our careers. One thing I definitely had to learn was getting out of my comfort zone. One of my first jobs ever that got me through college was door-to-door sales. It was a straight commission sales job. So I was literally knocking on doors trying to sell to people. And that taught me, a ton of resilience. It taught me a lot of grit. And it taught me how to take rejection, quite frankly. When you're going knocking on doors and getting it slammed in your face 99 out of 100 times, you can pretty much do anything after that. So that definitely was my first job that got me out of my comfort zone. And one of my mentors, actually, he was like, do the stuff in the morning that gets you out of your comfort zone right away. Like, do the thing you don't want to do, pick up the phone, make that call you don't want to make first thing in the morning, and the rest of your day goes that much easier. It's like you got to do the uncomfortable stuff to grow. And that's kind of been one of my mantras, for the last few years.
Thank you for sharing that. Anna, did you have a chance to chime in?
No, yeah, thank you. Thank you for reaching out. So I was thinking about that, and I think one of the things that I learned the most that schools don't teach you and life doesn't teach you is really to be compassionate. And when I think about compassion, is really to put yourself on the shoes of that person that you're talking, right? Because that person, that human being, has his or her own priorities, his or her own life, and they might be going through total different situations. And this is something that is, of course, for your personal lives too, how you deal with your family, how you deal with your friends, but how you deal with your coworkers too, right? How to be compassionate and understand that human being has his or her own personal and professional life too, and his or her own priorities too. So that makes you double things how you deal with life and how you deal with priorities too.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I wish I can give you a round of applause, but I don't want to clap and get feedback or anything like that. But I do want to say thank you for all of you for joining us. We did have